I'm Priscilla Barrera with the Investing News Network, and here with me today is Brett Simon, analyst of energy storage at GTM Research. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. So my first question for you is, we have many analysts forecast strong demand for electric cars in the next few years, which would also increase the need for batteries. What is your forecast for the lithium-ion battery market in the next few years?
Great, yeah. So my focus area is the U.S. and specifically stationary storage. So I'm going to talk about this more in relation to the stationary storage market than the electric vehicle market, and again, specifically looking at the U.S. So looking ahead to the next 5 years, GTM Research is projecting quite substantial growth in the market. Last year, we had a U.S. market that was about 230 megawatts of grid interactive stationary storage, and we're projecting that we're going to be seeing a market that's about 2.5 gigawatts annually in 2022. So we're looking at a jump of about 10x over the course of 5 years. So quite substantial increase. And of that market, we see the majority of it being lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion has dominated the stationary storage market since 2014 with about 94% market share, and we see that continuing over the next 5 years.
All right. And we have many market participants say that lithium-ion battery costs are one of the key factors that could delay the electric car adoption. I know that's maybe not the specific area you talk about, but do you expect costs to continue to decrease in the next few years for batteries?
Yes, most definitely. The cost declines, of course, won't be as rapid as they have been, especially over the last few years, but we continue to see pretty significant cost declines. As kind of a point of reference, recently in the last quarter, we saw a range of lithium-ion battery costs at the rack level of between $225 a kilowatt hour and $375 a kilowatt hour, tending more towards the low end with the median. And we're looking ahead to 2019, 2020, seeing that range getting down more towards the $150 a kilowatt hour to $200 a kilowatt hour level. So still pretty substantial room for decline in the near future.
All right. And do you have a particular forecast of how much the lithium-ion battery market will be worth in the next few years?
Yeah, great question. So again, this is a forecast for the U.S. market in general, not specifically lithium-ion, but it does, of course, include a majority of it coming from lithium-ion. But we're seeing a market that's going to be worth over $3 billion annually in the U.S. By 2022.
All right. And what about recycling of lithium-ion batteries? Is that something that could happen going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question, and honestly is something that I need to look into a little bit more. End of life is a big open question for the market, especially as the majority of stationary storage systems in the U.S. have been deployed in the last few years. So with them having generally a lifetime somewhere between 7 and 10 years for the battery itself, not necessarily the system. We haven't necessarily reached end of life on most systems. So it is an open question if there will be, how recycling will be accomplished, because of course, material recovery could be valuable in the future.
Okay, and finally, are there any other key factors in the energy storage space that investors should pay attention to in the next few years?
Yeah, that's a good question. So certainly the energy storage market is quite a big opportunity. I think when investors are thinking about getting into this space, they need to think about what they see as the biggest opportunity, specifically in terms of application. So, for instance, historically in the U.S., the PJM market, which is an interconnection that consists of 13 mid-Atlantic states and Midwestern states, had a big opportunity for what was known as the Reg D market to provide a service called frequency regulation. However, the market saturated and there were some rule changes that happened in 2015. And as a result, that market has completely dried up. So investors need to be wary when getting into this market of specifically, what type of applications, the storage systems will serve that they're investing in, or what the long-term strategy is of the companies in which they're investing. We've actually seen a rash of M&A activity in the U.S. storage market in the last 18 months, where quite a few U.S.-based storage firms have been acquired by in some cases foreign firms, but larger multinational energy companies or utilities. So just to give some examples, Enel, which is an Italian company, acquired Demand Energy. We saw Wärtsilä acquire Greensmith. We saw EDF acquire a majority stake in Green Charge, just to name a few.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It was great being here.